Okay, looks like we are live now. So hopefully you guys will get your notices and join me shortly. Let's see. Yeah, okay, looks good. Just getting my settings going, you guys, if you're watching. Yep, looks like you are. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, fabulous. So what do we want to talk about tonight? It's October 2021, hard as that is to believe, and all kinds of stuff is shaking loose in the cosmos. Lately, Metatron has really been on a rant about this shift that we're going through, and recently, if you're on my mailing list, I wrote to you about the DNA being recalibrated, and I think that was in the latest video too. So it's like, okay, more pieces of the puzzle coming together, explaining to us what we're feeling. So if you have felt more intensity about the shift, then it's probably partially that, if not other things. So some of the intensity is the DNA recalibration. Hey, Barb, thanks for being here. Just kind of, what do you call it? That jazz thing where they scat. We're just doing a little scat here until some people show up and have some questions. So we're going to be doing metaphysical questions tonight. And I was just talking about how, Metatron has been on this tear lately about the shift and what we're going to be experiencing, and how so very important it is that we really get into alignment with our soul right now, lean into it more now than ever, because this acceleration that we are feeling, whether we consciously know what it is or not, we're feeling that acceleration. We need to be able to get our sea legs and stay upright, so that we can get through this big shift and help others in the process, because it's massive. And the interesting thing, I was just talking with one of my friends today about how her guides are really putting the pressure on, no more excuses. Get your behind moving, do those things that you know that you need to do, share the messages that have been given to you to share. So if you're feeling that too, please share. We had a lot of people in the 21-day meditation challenge were talking about how they are now connecting more with their team and they're getting more information. So I want to encourage you. Hey, from the West Coast for us. Hi, Debbie. And we have T-Barb. Welcome, you guys. So if you're getting that stuff and you feel compelled to share it, do share it, because there are others out there who are behind you on the path, and maybe they're feeling a little lost. Because imagine, we have the advantage of knowing why we're feeling this way. Metatron has been sharing with us all along, and now lately this DNA recalibration. So a lot of them they don't have that information to help them get through this. They're kind of lost probably. So the more we can get the message out to them, help them to understand that this is actually exciting. It's a little scary. Of course it is. It's a big change, but we can do this. We've been training for this for many lifetimes. So now is the time to stand up and move forward together and do it. None of us are doing this alone. We are all doing it together. That's the important thing. And that's why I keep sharing these messages with you here, because more people need to know we're all in this together. Let's do this. It's time to move forward. If we want to get out of this really yucky place that we are right now as a planet, it's going to take as many as possible coming together, doing what is in alignment with their soul, and also helping to move the light forward. I hope that makes sense, you guys. Let me know. Debbie said you recently learned about the new extra chakras and you've been activating. Yeah, there are more chakras than those 7 or 8 that we commonly talk about. So depending on, what modality you're studying or learning, you may be getting more of that stuff. That isn't at this moment part of what I'm getting from Metatron, but it's all important. So whatever's coming to you is your piece of the pie to do something with. First, take it and use it as much as you can for yourself. And then when you get a grasp on it, then share it with others. Because that's all I'm doing. That's all my friends in the metaphysical world are doing as well. It's like we're all coming forward, doing our part, sharing from our hearts, so that we can come together into this new wonderful place, because, oh my gosh, it really sucks sometimes, you know? And I know there's a lot of craziness today because Facebook went down, and I think a lot of people are probably losing their minds because, you know, they've gotten so into that place of that's a comfort zone and they spend a lot of time there. And, you know, if we're honest, maybe they're kind of pacifying themselves a little bit with it, like they might have done with substances in the past. So this has become that thing that comes along to, you know, to help them feel better about the world, even though now we know because of everything that's come through and probably sensed it before this anyway, that they're actually feeding us a lot of stuff to cause us to feel even worse. So it's really a time of getting great clarity about who you are as this beautiful sovereign soul. What is it you bring to the table? What is it that since the time you were born, you felt called to do? Because, you know, if you're going to do it, now is the time to do it. I know for me, I wandered around like, you know, Jesus wandering in the wilderness for years and years, trying to figure it out, decades. And for me, it happened when I found the Akashic Records. Other people figure it out in different ways because there's just a lot of stuff out there that we could use as tools to help us. But to me, this is the best one because it's the one I found that helped me. And it just opened all these doors of understanding, because truly understanding your soul purpose is the holy grail of your journey. And when you get that, when you understand what it is you're here to do, start doing that, everything opens up and expands. You feel so much better. You've got more to give to the world. It's just a marvelous, magical way to live. And coming from that place of not having it and really having crappy self-esteem and struggling and being afraid most of my life, the contrast from there to where I am now is just so vast and so wonderful that I want that for all of you guys. So you can do that step by step. And that's part of what we're doing in the 21-day meditation challenge, because we're all connecting with our guide teams. We're getting more information. They're feeding us little bits and pieces about past lives when we're ready for it, so that we can understand why maybe these repeating patterns are showing up in our life and what we can do about them. And the interesting thing about this, you guys, that really astonished me when I first got it was just getting the story of what happened in that past life. It's like the walls come tumbling down. You don't even have to do very much. It's just knowing what caused it. It's like somebody fit that missing piece in the puzzle, and now you've got the big picture. And then you can make new choices going forward because now you understand where it came from. Hey, Laura, glad you could join us. Debbie, have you been noticing that you're not enjoying certain foods, coffee, etc. anymore, like it's lost its lust? Not really, but I've been doing this weird diet where you like eat a lot of the same food, because then it becomes fuel for your body rather than satisfying your cravings. And, you know, it's kind of a convoluted thing. That's a lot to explain here, but so I haven't been having a big variety of things to notice that. But yeah, that might be one of the ways it shows up for you. And the interesting thing about this is that, you know, it's going to manifest differently for each of us because we're wired differently. We perceive things differently. One of the things I've noticed, for years and years, and I didn't really understand it, this was something else I learned when I learned about my Akashic Records and my gifts, is that I have a keener sense of smell and therefore taste, and at one time even hearing, than the average person. And that's just part of how my soul is wired. Those were things I needed in order to function and perform my gifts fully. So yeah, it's always been for me that I've had an extra keen sense in that respect. So I haven't really noticed a big difference. That's fascinating. And, you know, Debbie, it just strikes me, if you're not having that fullness of taste, maybe that's you're like asymptomatic for, you know what, that thing that's been going around, because it does affect taste for some people. When my daughter and her husband got it, that's how it manifested for them. Smell and taste were impacted for months before it came back. So that's also a possibility. But whatever it is, I hope it comes back soon. There are things I've read online about exercises you can do to restore those senses if they've been dulled for you. So that might be something you want to Google and see if you can find more information. So let me just finish. It's hard for me to talk and type at the same time. I get too distracted, but I was just going to type a note here to let you know that we're talking about metaphysical stuff. So did you guys all see the video from Metatron about the origins of the planet? Because, you know, I posted that thing. Oh, you'll get tested. Good. I'm glad. Yeah. My husband has to get tested every week for work, so it's really not a big deal. And it's these days, even if you are vaccinated, it's a good thing to do that anyway, if you have any thought that something's going on. So what was I just saying? Oh gosh, I lost the track. Somebody remind me, what was I starting to tell you about? Yeah, I get distracted really easily. There's a lot going on. That's cool. Oh, I know what it was. It was the alignment of the planets. So I'm doing my meditation, you know, because I do the forecast once a month. And actually, that one wasn't the forecast. That was the week before. So this was just, you know, my weekly message that I'm sharing on YouTube. And all of a sudden, I get this whole vision about the origin of the planets. And, you know, it's like watching one of those old movies about the gods and goddesses and, you know, all that mythology stuff. And it was like, whoa, this is kind of a mind-blowing experience. I'm not quite sure why that came up at this point. I think probably at some point in time, I'll figure out where it fits and why. But it was an astonishing story showing the origin of the planets. And I'm like, okay, this is a cool story, but, you know, how does this tie into what we're studying right now? And so Metatron rolled it around and then took it into helping us to understand how we are expanding, because it was like, this is how Creator evolved the planets. They started out as these big rocks, and then they were kind of joined with one of the titans, or something like one of the titans from mythology. So they had superpowers, you know, some saw them as gods and goddesses. So they became the animating force in these big rocks that were then put out into the cosmos and set up as the planets. And it's like, wow, this is really some mind-blowing, heavy stuff. So I was expecting, once I posted that all these people would start asking questions about the planets, and they haven't. So I don't know, maybe that doesn't interest you guys, but it sure turned me on. It was really fascinating stuff. Yeah, Metatron Earth. It makes a lot of sense though, when you think about it, because, you know, in some of the indigenous cultures, they've always known that Gaia was living, that there was a spirit in there. And yeah, somebody said on the video, it blew her mind to think that planets have souls. Well, when you think about it, pretty much anything that's animated has a soul. They might be differently calibrated souls. You know, the souls that we get as human beings are different from the souls that the angels and guides have, but there's an animating force there. So it's a soul. And just like that with the planets. So Creator put these rocks out there, and then the animating force in each rock went to work terraforming their planet, their new body, if you will, in whatever way they chose. And you know, the really interesting thing about this is, a while back, I had a past life regression session with one of my clients, and it was different than anything I had done before. So it was a meant to be connection. She took me back in, you know, whatever came up, it was like, let's go looking for things. And she took me back way far. And I found myself as like a scout before the planets had been developed to the place that they are now to support life. So I was on a mission with, you know, some other souls at that time. And we actually came to Earth. And we were on Earth before it is the Earth that we know it today. It was still in the midst of its forming, of its terraforming. And then they did this fast forward for me into a lifetime where I was part of the Mayan culture on Earth, and one of the lifetimes that I had had memories of during one of my meditations. So it's like, wow, this is connecting even more dots. This is just phenomenal stuff. And that is all out there for us to help us understand, to put more pieces together, because, you know, we're like this big enigma to ourselves. There's all of this information that we have gathered and learned over lifetimes, and we only have access like to that much of it until we get into our records. And then once we're there, we have access to all of it. It's vast. But of course, we don't comprehend it all at once. So we get it piecemeal. When we go asking for things, they'll open more doors and they will share more with us. But, you know, it comes in a process. They feed us what we needed and what we're ready for at this moment in time. So that's kind of how it goes. Anybody else have questions? I don't see anything. Okay. Looks like we only have 6 people here. I'm sorry to hear that, because, you know, I was hoping a lot of people would come and gather and we could have a great fun chat tonight. But unless you guys start asking me some questions, I'm going to run out of stuff to talk about. So let me pop over and share with you this really cool message I got from Metatron last night. If you're in the meditation group, you might not have seen it yet because I posted it in the group. And then, of course, Facebook went down today. So it was more along the lines of, you know, the congratulations and letting everybody know how pleased they are. So, you know, going through this process and how they've expanded and made remarkable progress. Really, they have. It's amazing. And even some who would probably sit back and judge themselves and think, oh, no, I really haven't done that much. They really have. They just aren't in a place where they're ready to see it yet. But the shifts I've seen have been phenomenal. So Metatron was talking about that. And he said that as we prepare to up level into this 4th dimensional frequency, there are going to be more challenges ahead. But you are ready for this. You prepared for this over many lifetimes. So just keep putting that one foot in front of the other, moving forward in faith and trust, and you will reach that metaphorical mountaintop. When you get to that mountaintop, you will have greater clarity. You will see with such amazing vision, far beyond anything you've seen before. And you're going to keep connecting more dots because it's all expansion, right? We just continue expanding. So you will be bearing witness to the unfolding of the divine plan and your role in it, because you do have a role in it. We all do. So at that point, when you get there, you're probably going to find yourself spontaneously remembering more of your past lives, because you will be at a place where you will need more of those memories and understandings to connect. I'll get to the stuff you guys typed in just a sec. I just want to finish this first, and then I'll come right back. So you'll get that total recall, but in the meantime, you're going to get them in snippets, and that could start happening now for you. I know it is happening for some of the people in the challenge group. And when that book comes out, my plan is the end of this month. So, you know, send me some good energy for that I can get that accomplished. That's what my assignment has been for Metatron, to do that. So when the book comes out and people start going through it, there will be even more to join with us to help us all advance even more rapidly, because the greater our numbers, the faster we can do this. So as you draw closer, that transformation is going to be ongoing. But he also cautioned us, yeah, we've told you a lot about what's to come, but don't get yourself caught up in focusing on daydreams of the future, because then you're not living the present and you're not bringing all of your gifts and your power and your amazing self to the table. So yeah, we can look to the future and be happy and feel really good about that and hopeful, but we've still got to remain in the present moment, doing our journey and whatever it is our purpose is. So remaining grounded is really important right now because of all the shifting, and you know, your body's shifting into that 4th dimensional, the recalibration of your DNA that's going on. Being grounded is super important to help you get through that in the most comfortable way possible. So, you know, live with excitement and gusto. You're supposed to enjoy this life. Have a good time. Yeah, we've got a big task in front of us, but we're still supposed to enjoy our life. It's living, not toiling. So we are right now laying the foundation of the new world to come, which is so exciting. So celebrate your progress and your achievements, along with your fellow sojourners on this journey. Allow your lightness of being as much as possible. Really lean into feeling that lightness. If you find yourself going into the heavy and the dark, you know, swipe the screen, shift your focus into something light. Maybe you need to meditate, you know, to get you out of that. If whatever it is you need to do to lift you out of that darkness, you don't want to get stuck there. So one day it will be your new normal to always be in that space of lightness. Right now we're practicing. So we do it in fits and starts, you know, and when you notice you've fallen out of it, then you just refocus, ground yourself, and do whatever it is you need to do to get that lightness back. Because that's that place of soul nirvana. That's the bliss. That's the frequency that's going to allow you to shift faster, further. So what else did he say? Yeah, so we're going to have peace and harmony reigning. And so as he said that, peace and harmony will reign. And then I start hearing the fifth dimension singing Aquarius. It's like, okay, that's a really interesting song choice and a way to end this message, isn't it? But it was so perfect when you think about it, because, you know, what is it that we're doing? We are shifting into that new age of Aquarius, right? And that took me down a rabbit hole of, oh my gosh, fifth dimension. I never connected it that way before, because, you know, they came up when I was a youth and we didn't know about what the fifth dimension was back then. So it never connected on a metaphysical level for me before. And it was like, whoa, that hit me right between the eyes. Now I had to go research to find out, how did they get that name? Because surely that is not a coincidence. But the funny thing is, the story goes that there were 5 of them, and they were all on what they felt were different dimensions of the music scale. And so fifth dimension. So in their minds, it wasn't metaphysically connected, but oh, I somehow feel that there was a connection there somehow. Just too magical and marvelous not to be. So anyway, that was the message that was shared in the Facebook group today. So whenever you guys can get back there, you can comment on that and share how it hits you, because I can't wait to hear what you guys think about the whole fifth dimension thing. Okay, so let me go back to your questions. All connected, welcome. Forrest, you don't have a metaphysical, but you have a physical. Why are we still having chemtrails in our skies? I don't know, let me ask. So, team, what can you tell us about chemtrails? I'm getting a strong hit that, what's the word I'm looking for? They're not Earth. They're not from Earth. They are these other races that have been watching over us. Now, I know a lot of people think that it's the government doing stuff to us, but right in this moment, that's the hit I'm giving, or getting rather. So, all right, let me just ask that other question. So are some of the chemtrails from our government or even other governments? I'm getting a no on that, Forrest. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt, because that's what I'm getting right now. Let me know if that makes sense to you. Thank you for the like rally, Laura. I really appreciate that. And hey, we got to 10 people now. Awesome. So you're feeling the shifting, Debbie. Okay. Harry's mom, have you had any message about people disappearing by teleportation or transmutation? No, not that I can think of, but let me just ask about that. Anything going on about teleportation, transmutation that we need to know? I'm getting that it is happening, but it's happening at a very subtle level, and it will be expanding. Because, you know, part of what's happening, Harry's mom, with the big V, is that it's a convenient means for people to exit the planet, the ones who were not wanting to stay as we go through this evolutionary process. Their souls decided, you know, that was part of their plan. I'll be here up until, but I'm going to, you know, jump overboard before we get into the weeds, because I just don't want to be there for that. And that's okay. That's their choice as a soul. So it feels like what you're referring to, teleportation, transmutation, are some of those who are at that point of getting ready to leave. Because the ones who are at a higher level of understanding and frequency are going to stay here and help us. We need them right now. So let me just ask that question. That brings up a good point. So the teleportations, transmutations, are these the higher evolved souls? No. So they would be the ones who are choosing to exit. Yeah. Okay. So maybe they're at a higher level of understanding, but they're just more consciously choosing to leave. And, you know, I've been getting this thing recently that, if you're familiar at all with the Bible, there's a place in there where they talk about the people who are just going to, you know, like lift up in the air and disappear. And if you read the Celestine prophecy, there's a place where he talks about something very similar. It's people's vibrational frequency raises higher and higher, and it gets to a certain point where they are vibrating at such a different, disparate level from the third dimensional that they disappear. They're still there. We can't see them because they're vibrating at a higher level. So part of that, and that felt kind of true to me when I read that, So part of that, Harry's mom, might be that there are those people who are doing that, moving into that higher vibration, not actually leaving. They're still here. We just can't see them. And as we also move up into our higher frequency, fourth dimensional, through this evolutionary process, we might start disappearing for people as well. That's part of what's coming. I'm not sure. It feels like it could be the case, but fascinating stuff. And Debbie said, are there peace portals opening up over the world? I haven't heard about peace portals, but let's ask. Okay, peace portals. Are there peace portals? Is that a thing? Yes. Yeah. Oh, and what they're showing me, it's like there have always been these interdimensional portals here and there that beings have used to cross over. It's like the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot, things like that, that people have actually seen. We know they're there, but we can't prove it. They're crossing over into those portals. They're going back and forth. They don't belong here. They just pop over for a visit and to create a little fun in their mind, and then they pop back. So that's part of that's happening there. So those portals are expanding so that more of the ascended intelligence and energy can come through to help us, because my gosh, we need a lot of help right now, so much more than we ever did before. So Forrest wants to know, are they benevolent chemtrails? Okay, great question. So these chemtrails, are they benevolent? I get a big yes on that. Yeah. And along with that, I'm getting this feeling in my heart chakra about, yeah, it's almost like the extraterrestrials, we would call them, are doing it like to wave hi as they go by. So it's a way of just cluing us in or winking that, hey, we're here, that kind of thing. There are some people who are more connected, who are actually able to see and converse with them. But for most of us, we're not doing that. So it's just, a way of letting us know that they're around. Harry's mom, your guides described that you'll be in the checkout line and the person in front of you will disappear and the cart will be there like in the Bible. Yeah, and the funny thing, Harry's mom, is that keeps coming up in my awareness recently, which tells me, I think, my interpretation anyway, is that we're getting closer to it. This is preparing us. That's part of our shifting of awareness so that we will notice. Maybe there's something we need to do when that happens. I don't know, because we're all in this whole new situation we've not been in before. So we're kind of all figuring it out as we go. And that's part of the fun too, right? That's part of why we wanted to be here. We're all adventurers. So Kelly Johnson, welcome. Thanks for being here. You're constantly having deja vu moments, as if you're supposed to know what's happening in the present as well as the future. And it's a little unnerving. Yeah. A long time ago, Metatron told me that deja vu is a memory of a past life. That's why it's happening. It's not a random for nothing thing. And when it's happening, we're getting little snippets of a past life. And I think this is like priming the pump so that we'll be ready and more accepting when more of that starts coming in. So I'm just feeling about the whole future part of it. Yeah, okay. So because time is layered in the records, the future does exist. It's not totally drawn out. We're still filling it in as we move towards it, but there are broad outlines. So it's perfectly possible that you could be getting flashes from the future as well. But more often, deja vu is about past life, just little snippets of things that come in to, help us to reconnect with more of who we are, to get that greater understanding. Oh, the last word was dream. That's funny, Johnson. Kelly. Yeah. Yeah, it does it's almost like a little out of body thing that's going on. It does feel weird. And I suspect we're all going to be having more of that stuff happen. That's part of shifting into that fourth dimensional reality. And because we haven't done that before, we haven't been in our consciousness anyway, fourth dimensional beings, who knows what else it's going to feel like. It's just right now, it's like, really being focused on keeping your equilibrium so that you can stay up and keep moving forward, not to get knocked flat by it. Is it like a parallel universe? Are you talking about the portals, or are you talking about your flashes of deja vu? Because if you're talking about the portals, yeah, it is. It's like a parallel universe, you know, and there's lots of them out there. So occasionally the people on the other side who understand how to do this are able to pass through. And what I'm just getting as I'm talking about this is some of the stories I remember from mythology. It was a lot like that when the gods and goddesses would show up on Earth and hang out with the people. It's like they came through one of those portals, they popped in, they did whatever it is they were going to do, and then they left again. So, you know, I imagine like the Bermuda Triangle, that's got to be one of those portals. And that's why things disappear and we never find them again, because they go through that portal. So someday when we shift into that higher consciousness, we might actually be able to reconnect with those beings and understanding about what happened to the people and planes and boats that disappeared over there. Hey, Melinda, so glad you could make it. Forrest says, really, even though we see jets emitting chemtrails, they're from benevolent entities. I can only tell you that's the answer I got, Forrest. So yeah, that's all I can tell you about it. I personally have not seen that. And, you know, here's the other thing that's going on right now is that our perception of reality is almost like being shaped and warped. And of course, we know that from part of the Facebook stuff that's going on. So what happens is you and I could look at the same thing and see it very differently, just based upon who we are, where we're at in our journey, and our own, you know, built-in biases and things like that. So if you have it in your head that it's harmful, you're going to see it through that filter. If I have it in my head that it's nothing because I was just told that it was benevolent, then I'm going to see it through that filter. And probably for us, the truth is somewhere in the middle, because none of us are getting this perfect vision, right? It's all skewed a little bit. And that's another thing that we're trying to, you know, climb through all this muck and mire to get to what really is truth. Because I tell you, this is something I've struggled with a lot. People that I love and respect who are so smart and so tuned in, and they have very, very different beliefs about what's going on than I do. And it's kind of playing with my head. It's like, how can this possibly be? So when I had a conversation with Metatron about that, and I think that's in the Aligning Planets video. So if you haven't seen that one, watch that one. So he explained how, you know, that's just how we're evolving. It is normal and it's to be expected. And it doesn't mean they're wrong. It doesn't mean we're wrong. We are both right for where we are in our journey. And the best thing that we can do is just respect them and allow them to have their belief. You keep doing you, I keep doing me, everybody else the same. At some point, there will be a convergence, though. There will be less of this confusion, and that will happen as we move more into the fourth dimension. A lot of that stuff will get cleared away. And at that point, we might all be surprised to find out what the actual truth is, and perhaps quite different than any of us thought. So it's a big mystery right now, but we know we're moving towards something better. We know we're doing it together and that we're to support each other. So as best we can, that's what we do. Hope that helps. Hi, Nima, welcome. Dory, glad you could be here. You used to have deja vu moments when you were a teenager, but you don't now. How can you prepare yourself to have them happen again? Well, do you meditate? That's the first thing, because if you are spiritually connected, you are opening the door for your guides to bring you more of that. So it's like they're knocking on the door. Are you answering? Right? That's the first thing. So it's getting tuned in, opening up the door, allowing for them to come in. And you probably weren't here when we were talking about the 21-day meditation challenge and how that's what we're doing there. People are going through this as a group, so the energy is lifting everybody up and they're able to connect in a way that they haven't been able to before. So once they open that door and they start allowing information to come through, it expands. So you'll get more and more and more. But you start with baby steps. Don't put pressure on yourself. Don't try to rush it. Just allow it to evolve. and have a really good time as you're doing it, right? You've got to incorporate more lightness and fun in your life. That's really important, especially now, because so much more is being asked of us. You know, it's like, okay, before we could kind of float along and play at what we thought our purpose was. But now it's like, hello, kids, it's time to really get serious. It's hitting the fan now, and this is what you prepared for. It's time to step up and do this with a little more consciousness. Yes, still have fun. Absolutely. Never stop having fun. But it's time to really apply yourself. And so it's like, okay, I got to get this book out this month. It's way past due, and over time needs to get out there. And for all of you, there's going to be whatever your book is for you that you need to attend to, that spiritual connection that you've been letting go and, you know, prioritizing other things over it. So they're asking us now to reprioritize, really focus on that spiritual journey and why we're here, so that we can share it with others and expand faster. Because the faster we do that, the sooner we get through to the other side and we can get out of this muck and mire, because none of us like it. It's just not a good place to be. Debbie asks, are there many energetic beings of the purest light helping the planet right now? More than usual. There are legions. Yes. Lots and lots. More coming all the time. So we get reinforcements whenever we need them. And you personally can ask for reinforcements. So if you're working on something and you're feeling more challenged than usual, just call out to your guides. Now, I always recommend go through your Akashic records when you call, when you connect, because if you do that, then you have confidence that who's coming is of the light. I hope that makes sense. So like, I wouldn't just go talking to spirits. I would go into the records. I'm connected to the energy of the records, so that anybody who comes to connect with me is also from that higher dimension, and they are all love, truth, and light, because there's no darkness or corruption, evil, any of that allowed in the records. So for me, that's how I feel confident to accept what I get. Of course, you know, you guys all do what feels best for you, but just, you know, a little something to keep in mind when you start connecting. You're transmuting anything negative. That's awesome, Forrest. Yeah, you're so welcome. Yeah. Debbie, you pulled an angel card that said to ask the angels to get creative juices going. You've been thinking of documenting your experiences. Uh-huh. Yeah, and why do you think you've been thinking of them? Because they've been giving you those messages. And Debbie, that is a beautiful example. Thank you for sharing, because very often that's how it happens. We just get this idea that keeps coming up, and it'll keep coming up and keep coming up. And, you know, it comes up with even more frequency and urgency the longer we postpone it. So when those things come up, act on them sooner, and life will get easier, because then they don't have to keep going over and over and over with the same thing, trying to get your attention and get you to take action. Then you can move on to the next delightful thing that's waiting for you. So make it a game. You know, Metatron's been talking about that lately too, that this life is a game. We're supposed to be having a good time. So if you can look at it as a game, what am I supposed to get today? What exciting new piece of information do you have for me that I can then put into this big puzzle that I'm assembling to use as I move forward with greater clarity and insight? Because we all need greater clarity and insight. You know, there are days where you feel like you're walking around in the fog and you just can't see anything. When that happens, that's when you reach out and you take your guide's hands. Just call them. They'll be right there, and they'll help lead you through. And of course, then you are called upon to have even more faith and trust, because you're walking blindly at that point, right? But they will do that for you if you ask them. They're always there. Debbie says it makes sense. Great. Dora, you will start and do baby steps. That is wonderful. Perfect. Yeah. Because don't put pressure on yourself that you've got to leap over a chasm, or you won't. So if we all understand that all that's being asked of us is just taking that action a little bit at a time, keep moving forward. Baby steps are perfect, because you get there. It's like the story of the tortoise and the hare, right? The tortoise got there. Slow and steady wins the race. So just keep going and keep going and keep going. Harry's mom asked, do some people have angel DNA? That's a great question. Yeah, there is actually one soul tribe that comes from the Andromeda galaxy. And those souls who are on this earth right now came from this angelic realm. So if it's an angelic realm, they got angelic DNA, right? Besides that, I kind of feel like there have always been angels periodically walking among us to help. They've done that. And again, if you go back to the mythology, those stories were there of the gods and goddesses as they saw them, but they were probably angels, in our current understanding of things, they were probably angels that were showing up to help. So they've always been around, and we have the ability to call upon them because Creator made them to help us. They are there to help us with whatever it is we need. There are different hierarchies of angels. They have different responsibilities. That was one of the things that came up in the Origin of the Planet video, because I got this picture of the angels who were assigned to keep track of all the planets and make sure that they stayed in their place and everything was hunky-dory with them. It was like they were in this big NASA control room. All these angels, bustling around, checking this gauge, checking that gauge, making sure everything was in order. It's like, that's kind of mind-blowing to think something like that exists. But they share those things for a reason. They're not random. So that was specific to help us understand that there's just so much more than we have even thought about yet. And we're starting to get it now as we are expanding our own consciousness. They had to feed it to us in little bites so that we could accept it. It's a lot to take in. It's like when I do a soul introduction reading with somebody. It's like, you come, just sit there and absorb it. Don't worry about taking notes, because I'm going to give you an audio or video, and you're also going to get a written report, because this is so massive. Learning about your soul schematic and how all the pieces fit together, all the characteristics, all these various pieces of you. It's like, whoa. It's like, it must feel like getting hit by a Mack truck when you get that much information all at once, because it's amazing to watch how they shift energetically as they take it in. But also at the end, it's like glazed eyes, says, whoa, this is so much information. And then I always tell them, take this, read it again, and then put it away for a few months, get it back out, read it again, or listen to the video again, because you'll get another layer of understanding about yourself. You as a soul are so much more vast than you can even imagine. And the other thing I share is that it was like 8 years ago when I did my reading, and I'm still learning new things about myself. We're complex. It's complex. It's a lot to learn. So we're becoming more and more experts on ourselves as we move forward. And we have to do that in the time that it takes. So if that's teeny tiny little baby steps, that's perfect. No rush. We'll get there. We planned all of this. Our souls planned all of this. So we're on the journey. It's all coming together, and it's glorious. It's so wonderful to be here at this time, to witness the rebirth of Gaia and to be a part of facilitating it. It's like, does that make your mind kind of explode that we are actually helping to facilitate the rebirth of Gaia? It's kapow, right? Debbie says it makes sense. Awesome. Okay, Melinda, you had that come up last week and you documented it. More and more is happening. Same messages over and over, or maybe you're just more aware and it's growing fast. Yeah, you're more tuned in. Remember those old time operators with the plugs that they were plugging in here and there? You're just plugging more things in because there's information coming from so many different directions. It's like you've got all these different angels and guides who are helping you. So this crew is helping you with one thing, another crew is helping you with something else, and they all coordinate so they don't overwhelm you. But it's just going to keep coming. It's like a broken record until you get it. And then once you get it, it's like, great, now you incorporate it, and then you move on. That's so awesome. Oh, thank you, Melinda. Yeah. Soul introductions are just such a magical experience. To watch somebody almost have their own rebirth right in front of you as they suddenly have this consciousness of who they are. And it shifts you into this whole different place of being and understanding. So yeah, I just love it. It's so wonderful. Chills. Yeah, me too. Always. Okay, you guys. So what else do you want to talk about? Any other questions? We're just kind of treading water here a little bit. What did you guys think about the October forecast for Metatron? Did you have questions about that? Because that was a lot of stuff. I mean, it was 2,000 words worth of stuff that came over 2 days, by the way, because I got the first batch of it. And at the end of it, that was the part where Metatron said, and so it is, and so it shall be. That was like the first ending. And then I went back the next day. I wasn't satisfied. I wanted more. So I got that next whole section that came with it. So there was a lot of information there. Let me just pull that up and see if there's anything specific. Where did I put you? Yeah, keep putting your questions over there, and I'll look back in a second as soon as I find this. There it is. October forecast. Okay. The spider from the video. Let me bring that part up. That was kind of a mind-blowing thing for me. I wasn't expecting that at all. Because in that case, it was almost like you're being victimized by the spider, but I don't think that's what they meant. So where is that? Yeah, so Metatron was saying October is a big month. There's a lot of opportunity to accelerate your consciousness. But because there's all that ability and opportunity to accelerate, there's also an opportunity to veer off your path. And that is referring back to how important it is to really stay in the moment and make sure that you are aligned. Keep checking in, keep checking in, keep checking in. Because once you get off that path, the way he described it is you can get yourself enmeshed in a sticky wicket, and it could be almost impossible to extricate yourself from. So from the sticky wicket, we morphed to a spider web, because that was the image that came as the sticky wicket. And so he said spiders have to eat too. So, it would be really wise if you avoid turning yourself into a delectable delicacy for them. And of course, that's a metaphor. It's not about spiders literally eating you, but it's about, if you're not being conscious and being responsible, because, hey, that's a big part of what we're going through now. Our responsibility as a soul has expanded as we've ventured out on this journey, because with higher frequency comes higher responsibility. So if you're not staying on that path, you're veering off, then you can put yourself in great danger of things going really wrong in your life. Might not be as severe as death, but it could be that too, if your soul's ready to go. So it's keep your focus on your ascension path, keep that goal in mind, that's what this is all about. The underpinning of everything that you're doing is about your ascension, expanding your consciousness. That's the prime directive from Creator. Come here in this third dimensional experience, which will soon be fourth dimensional. Have a really good time. Expand your consciousness and live your purpose. So that's really all we have to focus on. Now, of course, that's a lot under that umbrella, but if we're not mindful and if we don't stay on track, we can veer off and really get caught up in some really unfortunate circumstances. Like, what if you were a little less conscious than you are now? Because you're all pretty conscious, or you wouldn't be here, right? You wouldn't understand what I was talking about. So what if you were a little less conscious and you weren't careful and you veered off so much that you ended up getting pulled into the cult of the draconians, and you went down a very dark path? Yeah, you can come back from that, but it's really hard. And it probably wouldn't happen in that lifetime. It might take a long time to get back to where you came from. So, it can be really dire, or it can just be uncomfortable. It can really span that whole spectrum. So it was just kind of having a little bit of fun with us, Melinda. throwing in the spider, just, I think it's kind of a little bit of shock value too, when you think about, oh God, I don't want to get eaten by a spider. So it's like, pay attention, be on your journey, stay in the moment as much as possible. Does that make sense? Let me know if it does. Harry's mom, the guides told you about the disappearing people. You were shocked. And since then, every time you go to meet the same guides, you fall asleep or you go somewhere with no memory. That's freaky. Okay, so let's see what that's about. Okay, so how do I phrase this question? Okay, so here's what I'm seeing, Harry's mom. It's like those people moved on, right? So you can't get them through the same portal that you got them before, or the same door, if we make it easy with door. So you can still connect with them. If you go into the Akashic Records, you can connect with anybody. So, you know, past, present, future, you can connect with them. So they would be there. You're going to have to connect with them in a different way because they're not here presently. But that doesn't mean you can't connect. So it feels to me like you're falling asleep or you're just blanking out because it's like you're hitting that wall. You're not able to get through. And it's almost like you hit that barrier and it's like losing consciousness because you just can't cross over that threshold. It's not open to you right now energetically, but go through the records and you should be able to connect with them. Let me know if that makes sense. Hey, Sharon Seib, great to see you. Thanks for coming. Melinda said it makes sense. Yeah, metaphor. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was kind of a weird metaphor, honestly. When I got that, I was a little taken aback. It's like, whoa, do I really want to share about a spider eating us? But you know, that's what came. So that's what I shared. And that's why another reason I'm glad for the opportunity to talk with you guys about it tonight, because there was a lot of stuff in there to unpack. And if you have questions about it, this is a great way to get those cleared up and to understand it. Plus, when you ask me those questions, you bring up things I might not have thought about so that we can then go together and get a deeper answer, which is beneficial to everybody. So that's what's so wonderful about it. Melinda, any thoughts on having more dreams lately? You and your husband are having more than usual for the past week or so. Anybody else on the call experiencing the same? Yeah, me too, Melinda. Lots of more dramatic dreams and layers of dreams. It's like, you know how you have a dream and then you get a break in between dreams and then you have more and so on. It's like pieces of them are still there and they're connected somehow so that you're able to remember more. And I'm hearing from a lot of people that they're having way more vivid dreams than usual. So that is, yeah, it's feeling like it's part of the DNA calibration. So they're working on us in our sleep because that's easier for us to tolerate. So of course, if you think about your DNA being manipulated while you're sleeping, that probably would cause some pretty vivid dreams. So it feels like that's what it's about. But it's also, you know, the energy on the planet, because Gaia is shifting too, is all around us. So it's not just us, even it's the people we interact with, it's the planet itself along with us. So it's like, you know, you go to the carnival and you get on these rides and it's sometimes a really wild ride. And that's what it kind of feels like right now. But this is like a cosmic ride of some sort, which we haven't done before. So it's all new and, you know, we're pioneering it together. So again, that's another reason to talk and share because, you know, if you were experiencing this stuff by yourself, you might think you were batty. And other people might think you were batty because they didn't understand either. So it's really important that we get it out there and we share it with whomever we feel led to share it with. Okay, I got down to the bottom again. More questions? So let me just pop back over. I'm just going to scroll through a little bit of the message for October and see if there's anything that jumps out at me. And meanwhile, you know, keep putting your questions over there into the chat. Oh, I just thought of something. I think it was Melinda who asked me the other day about whether Metatron visited her house. And I want you all to know that, yeah, if you want Metatron to visit, ask him to. If you want some other angel, ask them to, because the angels were created to serve us. It's their delight and their pleasure, their privilege to serve us. So call often whomever you want to work with, or just call generically for angels and guides. You can call as many as you want. Now, you do have that inner circle. It's usually 5 or 6 that are with you all the time in this particular lifetime. They will be very close to you all the time. They're the ones that, if you feel a little rocky, you kind of lift your elbows out or your hands, and they will be right there to support you through whatever challenge you're going through. But then there are other levels and layers. They all have these different hierarchy of responsibilities. So yeah, don't be afraid to call upon any of them. I'm not any more special than you are. It's just Metatron started showing up for me. And I'm delighted by that, because it makes sense to me, being he is the overseer of the records, and I'm in the records so much. So it felt very natural to me. But when I first started, I was getting like biblical figures who were coming. I got Isaiah in the beginning. I got Elijah. I forget who else, but there were lots of kind of like biblical figures, because that was my understanding of, spirituality, I guess, or, religion from way back when. So that was kind of a foundation they could build on. So they used familiar names that would engender trust so that we could start having the conversation. And then it expanded from there. And the next thing I know, this green dragon starts showing up, like a cartoon dragon, speaking in the voice of Loretta Devine. If you know who she is, she's an actress. She's got a great voice. So here's this green dragon using Loretta Devine's voice, and she comes in singing the song from the Aladdin cartoon, "You Ain't Never Had a Friend Like Me." Oh my gosh, it was hysterical. And she brought me this whole message, and it was just delightful. So your guides will show up for you in all different shapes, sizes, and forms, whatever works for you. And that's part of the fun of it too. They're inviting you to play. It's quite marvelous. So I encourage you all to have that lightness when you connect with your team. Allow the experience to expand. If you get into a place of thinking it always needs to be this way with that tunnel vision, you will limit yourself and won't be nearly as fun or expansive. So just go in with that childlike excitement, wanting to have a wonderful experience of connection. Allow them to lead you through it in whatever way. It'll change your life. It's just so marvelous. And you can teach it to other people. Once you start having the experience and you're versed in it, then you share it with them, get them excited. They'll want to do it too. And that's how we all lift each other up and move forward towards Earthtopia together. So Melinda wants to know, why is the DNA being manipulated? Yeah. So the reason for that, Melinda, is because if you think about it, what we have now DNA-wise is third dimensional DNA. So if we are to ascend with Gaia into fourth dimension, our DNA needs to be recalibrated to allow for functioning in the fourth dimension. Now, from a quantum point of view, I don't have the, connectedness to explain that to you in those scientific terms, but the broad generality is that it's a different way of being, and we have to shift. So the way Metatron has described it is recalibrating the DNA. So it was like, that was the best way, in the best terms that he was able to use to make me understand it. So if you guys need more about that, just keep asking and I'll keep probing. Eventually we'll get more so that we can, really dig into it and understand it. Last year, this time you had bad dreams and your guides were clearing past lives. Yeah, because you have been on this ascension path for quite a while, Melinda. And then in the last couple of years, you've really accelerated. So you are experiencing different things as a result. So just imagine that was before you started shifting into fourth dimension. It's going to be even way more as we shift further into the 4D. And again, we don't have a timeline for that. We're moving towards it pretty rapidly. But does that mean like a decade? Does that mean 50 years? I don't know. I just know we're feeling it. I don't think it's going to be 50 years. I think it's going to be way shorter. But it'll take as long as it takes, because what's holding us back is the mass, the critical mass of light workers who are with us, calibrated on that path, so that we can accomplish this whole transformation. Fulfilling the prophecy is not easy. It's huge, massive, something we haven't done before, but none of us can do it alone. It's a collective thing. It's like, I think it was Abraham I heard say sometime back that things that happen on a planetary scale would only happen if, a large majority were ready for it. So it's like, we've got to hit that critical mass of wherever the tipping point is of the majority of light workers, so that we can move up into that next step. So we're still being held back by not having large enough numbers. That's what we're working on now. But the beautiful thing is we have the internet to connect with more of them. We could not have done this pre-internet. It would have taken us way, way longer. Probably not in a single lifetime. So Captain Rabbit, in the long term, do you think we will merge with artificial intelligence and explore the universe for infinity? No, I don't think so, because we are these magnificent beings created by God, by divine source of all that is. So no, we're not meant to be artificial. They can be around and, share our world. There might be some who dabble with that and try to do it, but I don't think that's part of Creator's plan. That feels incongruent to what we have set out for us as souls. That would, if we were artificial intelligence, that just feels to me like it would be taking us more away from being sovereign souls, right? There would be more controls. It would just be a whole different paradigm. Now, that doesn't mean, because this just popped in, that there's not a universe somewhere where that exists. It's possible, because anything is possible, right? If you can dream it up, it's probably out there somewhere. So whenever you have questions like this that seem totally off the wall, they're probably not coming from nowhere. That's a lot of double negatives, but you get my point. So they come for a reason. And maybe that reason is just you've got this marvelous curiosity. You're going to write about it and share it with people to entertain them. That might spark ideas with other people that shift reality somewhere else. Who knows? The sky is the limit on this stuff. So you never say never. Everything is possible. If we can dream it up, it can be. But from this perspective of who we are as sovereign souls, that I don't see in our path. So I hope that helps. Let me know. The dragon singing, it was hilarious. Oh my gosh, when these things happen, I so wish I had artistic ability so I could at least draw it for people to see. Because oh my gosh, they're just so amazing. And we had a great conversation. She had these really long curled eyelashes and she's batting her eyelashes at me. It was hysterical. So yeah, you can get that kind of stuff too, if you're open to it. It's like years ago, I was talking to somebody on my mailing list who wrote and asked a question about engaging with the angels. And I shared some kind of an anecdote where the angels were being silly. And he wrote back to me and he was quite offended. He said, I just don't believe archangels would talk like that. And I had to laugh because no, they won't talk like that to you because you don't believe in it. It bothers you. Of course, they're going to talk to you in a different way that's comfortable for you. So remember that they're always going to interact with you in a way that will allow you to accept and engage. So they're not going to do something that's offensive. So, when Archangel Raphael shows up snapping gum and being a real wisecracker, no, he's not going to do that for somebody who's not open to that being a part of the personality. But that's how he shows up for me. He's always making jokes and being the wisecracker. Really smart aleck remarks, but funny. And I've talked to other people who've also had that experience with Raphael, because I thought I was just nuts for a while, because do archangels really do that? So it was really reassuring to hear from other people that they've had the same experience. So that is apparently part of Raphael's personality that he will allow to come out if you're open to it. And that's another thing, you guys. That's why it's so important for us to share our experiences, because there are people out there right now doubting what they're getting because it just sounds too far off the wall. A few years ago, I might not have wanted to share the story about the singing dragon because it just sounds crazy, right? But now I'm just accepting it because My guides are going to communicate with me in the most efficient, effective way that they can. So if a singing dragon can get the point across, then that's what they'll do. It's wonderful. Okay, let's see where we left off. Sharon sends big hugs to everybody. Thank you, Sharon. Received gratefully. We need those right now. Debbie says, I have my unicorn and earth dragon. That's awesome. So they come to you in meditation? Melinda said she got it. Okay, cool. Captain Rabbit, they've operated on your brain and it now physically pulses. Interesting. So Captain Rabbit, if that were me, I'd want to ask them to explain it to me. You know, what is this all about? Help me to understand what's happening. Because again, you're a sovereign soul. You have the right to ask this stuff. So somewhere in your soul evolution, you must have agreed to that. Like I have a past life memory of having this ritual done on me back in the Mayan days, where they put me on this slab on top of one of their temples. The moon shone down on me and it split my chest open. It was the most painful thing. You know, I had the whole memory come back. It was part of a ritual that they were doing, and it was something that my soul had agreed to. It was part of a mission that I was on, serving humanity. So it all made sense in that context, but oh my gosh, is that outlandish? And you wonder, why did I agree to this? So you can go ask for those things. You can get the clarity, and it's slowly coming. I'm putting all the pieces together, you know, and again, they'll give it to you when you're ready. They're not going to give you stuff that's just going to totally drive you insane because it's too much for you to comprehend. So it might be pretty big stuff for you, Rabbit. So if they give it to you in little pieces, that's good. Take it, absorb it, figure out how it fits into the big picture, and then let them keep feeding it to you until you get, you know, the bigger picture and you have greater understanding, because that's available to you, right? They will help you in that respect. Debbie asks, are we energy and thought? Yeah, we are. I mean, we are energy for sure. We know that, right? Science has proven that. We can see ourselves as energy if you have the right kind of microscopes. And yeah, as energy, we have these thought forms, right? That's something I look for when I do karmic readings. There's this thing called a negative thought form. So if I started sending a lot of really negative energy towards you, Debbie, about whatever, who knows, but let's say I got really ticked off at you and I'm sending all this negative energy at you, and I do it for some period of time, that energy breaks off into this independent energy form. And then it has a cord connecting you and I, and it's like a vampire drawing energy from both of us. That's an actual thing. And I find those sometimes when I go in and do the past life stuff for people. So when we find them, of course, they're not a good thing to have because they're drawing your vital force energy. So we always figure out how they got there, what they're all about, and then we clip them, release them, do a clearing to get rid of them. So yeah, and our thoughts are very powerful, which is why it's so important to be conscious of those thoughts and not go into that dark stuff. Because, you know, once you start going, you can really fall down that rabbit hole, and then it can take you a long time to get back. But all that negative stuff that you're thinking can actually cause things to manifest in your life. So that's why I keep saying to you guys, swipe the screen, don't dance with that darkness. You know, if it's a problem you need to resolve, great, resolve it quickly, but don't spend a lot of time thinking about it, because then you're drawing more of the same to you. So you want to shift quickly into thinking about wonderful things you want to bring to your life. That's law of attraction, which, by the way, Melinda is an expert at, you guys. If you need help with that, call on Melinda. And speaking of Melinda, she's asking Captain Rabbit, are you watching Foundation on Apple? So that must be a program. I'm not familiar with that one. Captain Rabbit says, I believe artificial intelligence will speed up our brains. We could get robot arms and hearts and live forever. It doesn't need to be negative. No, and that's a whole different reality. It's not one that appeals to me particularly. So yeah, you can enjoy that. But here's what I do know about where we're going with Earthtopia. Metatron has said that when we get there and we've shifted into this fourth dimensional frequency, our DNA has been recalibrated, we're going to live longer. So we presumably would be more vibrant because we're going to be getting more vital force energy. You know, realistically, if we were totally tapped in, or as Abraham says, tapped in, tuned in, turned on, getting that vital force energy overfilling us all the time, we would probably stay young and vital way longer than we are right now, right? We don't have to be sick. Creator made us these amazing bodies that have the ability to heal themselves. We recreate our whole body. What is it, every 120 days, 90 days, whatever? There's some cycle where we're totally replacing all of our cells. So if that's true, and science says it is, then why are we aging and having ill health? It's because we're out of alignment with our soul. It's all part of that same package, right? Think about that one for a while. So Laura says, will portals help to speed up time to get us to Earthtopia or Lionsgate 1010? Well, I think they can, Laura, because if we're connecting to higher dimensional beings through them, getting more information, then certainly they can. But the thing is, you don't want to get hung up on the portals. You can do that without portals. You don't need them for that. You can connect with your team in the Akasha. You can connect with anything in the Akasha, past, present, future. You can ask for anything there and they will deliver. It may not come in the way you envisioned it, but they will deliver because that's what they're there for, is to serve you. They will always bring you whatever is in your highest and best good. So very often it's different than what we envisioned, but that's wonderful because it's even better than we asked for. So if you get all hung up on the portals and looking for those, then you might miss the bigger picture that really it's all in the records. That's where you're going. And the records, if you think about it, are a portal, right? In fact, my vision of the records is that depending on the method you use to access them, you go into a different portal. There are multiple portals in the records. One portal will get you to a very low level. Other portals will get you to higher levels. And you can even get to higher dimensions through the records. It's a matter of how you access them. And we're learning more about that all the time. So again, it's vast, the knowledge bank for us. We're just tapping into a small part of it. So once I get this present book done, part of my next assignment is doing more research in the records to expand the knowledge base, because there are 22 starseed groups that I'm aware of. So when I do readings and I tell people what starseed they are, what planet they came from, there are 22. Something in me says there's more, but there's only 22 identified. So that's one of my research projects that I want to go in and start finding out. Are there more? And also I want to know more about the planets that we've identified, because for some of them, I might have this much information. And for others, I might have, a couple pages. So it would be nice to flesh those out and get more information, because there are people from those places that would like to know more about themselves. So Captain Rabbit and Melinda, you're talking about the Apple program. Okay, cool. Hugs and prayers from Sharon. Thank you, Sharon. I really appreciate that. And your energy. So lovely. So Captain Rabbit is recommending that Melinda check out. Where did you go? You just popped. Upgrade. Upgrade is a film. Okay, cool. And Melinda says, doubting, you feel like you overshare, but you don't care anymore. I'm not sure you can overshare at this point, Melinda. And the other thing is, when you're sharing from your heart, from a place of love, can you really overshare? But the other thing is, while you're engaged in that, you're picking up cues from that other person. So if you got from them that it was a little too much, you can pull back. But they're sovereign souls, so they can also say, okay, that's enough. You've blown my mind enough for today. So it's a dance, right? It's like a dance that we're all doing together. What do I share? When do I share? I tend to overshare too. So it's about us tuning in and feeling more. And again, that's something that we're all working on, is extending that intuitive ability to feel more. so that we can make better choices. So that's part of our shift into this new way of being as well. I know for me, being able to feel things from people, I could always do it, but it's at a whole different level now. You know, it's like a different dimensional level. So once I connected with the records and have that understanding and that energy flowing to me, it's like all these doors opened up and I'm getting so much more than I ever got before. So for all of us, that's true. We're shifting into that. So I don't think it's something you have to worry about. Just be conscious of it. And when you feel like maybe it's too much, you could always stop and just ask the person, do you want more or is this enough? So that's something you could try. Because we don't want you doubting yourself, you know? It's like what you're getting is from divine. It's so amazing and so beautiful. You don't want to doubt that. It's just a matter of how you deliver it. And that's part of your journey, is learning how to do that in the most empowered way. Harry's mom said, that's what's happening to you. You get message and then you're embarrassed to share because they're too strange. Yeah. So you know what, Harry's mom? Just do it a little bit at a time. You'll get more comfortable as you go. But what I learned is that if I'm talking to you and I get this picture that pops into my head, because it does sometimes, that's not random. It came because I was supposed to share it with you. So if I choose not to, you and I have both missed an opportunity. Once I connected with the records and I understood that's why those things were happening and they weren't happening to everybody, now I faithfully share it. You know what? It's not my business what the other person does with it. I'm the messenger. I get the information. I share it. That's my part in this. So I would encourage you, when you get those things, to be grateful. Thank you for sharing that with me. And then whomever you feel led to share it with, do that. Because it's up to them to say, no, not interested, right? But then, of course, you know, be conscious of the give and take kind of thing. I'm sure you're doing far better than you think you are, because, you know, we all tend to be a little hard on ourselves. So a little more love for Harry's mom and acceptance, because you are this divine soul. You are a vessel and you're sharing from the depth of the love and the energy that's been shared with you. How can that be wrong? That's perfect. And Debbie, you meditate. Awesome. That's perfect. So Debbie says to Harry's mom, that's the hard part about sharing, telling people what you've learned. It is, you guys, but have you heard some of the crazy stuff I've shared with you? Mind blowing. But at some point, you just have to jump over the broom and get over yourself. And it's like, if divine gave it to me, it's for a reason. Just share it. Let it go. Put it out there into the world. It was meant to be. And the other thing about this, though, to take a little pressure off of you, is that whenever something really important is communicated with us as a planet, they sprinkle it over more than one person, right? Because there was this time where I was getting all hung up about the mantle of light, which they gave me to amplify my abilities to do this work. And I was feeling a lot of pressure and not living up to the responsibility, which is heavy in itself and can also hold you back, right? Because you get into this place of judgment. I'm not doing as much as I'm supposed to. So one time Metatron says to me, would it help if you knew you weren't the only one? Well, yeah. Okay, thank you. So multiple people have the mantle of light and are using it. That means now I can just get out there and use it wherever it needs to be, where I feel led to use it and not feel so much pressure. So know that when you get these things, it's not just you, it's being sprinkled around to lots of people, because not everybody takes action. So this is how they assure that action will get taken. So Captain Rabbit says they don't tell you what it's about. You think it's something to do with your crown chakra. It's imbalanced and they helped it. They don't tell you because probably because you wouldn't go into it. Okay. I think you mean that you don't want to go into the details, and that's okay. You know, Captain Rabbit, it could also be that whatever starseed group you come from, that your planetary compatriots are helping you to adjust. That's also a possibility, right? It could be because there's this one group that did this implant that was to help people to expand their consciousness. So it, you know, it could be something along those lines. And there's lots of other stories out there. So yeah, it doesn't sound like it's a bad thing. It seems like you're doing okay with it. So, but do feel free to ask them questions, because you are sovereign and you deserve answers if you want them. Debbie says you've been around people years ago who were dark. You had to have a shower to wash off the darkness. Yeah. You know, that's important to know that and to take the action and not to be around it, because you don't want to absorb that. It can figuratively eat you up if you spend too much time around it. Melinda said, you just share your stories. Yeah, that's perfect. Absolutely. Debbie says, oh, no, Melinda says, Debbie, it's good that you do that as a practice. And she does similar things to clear the energy every day. Yeah. You know, about that, you guys, it's something that's come up a few times, so I'll just expound on that a little. If you feel you need to protect yourself, then do that. You know, use the zip up that we've talked about before. Put on your protective barrier. You know, it's like your personal force field to keep that dark energy away from you. I don't feel a need to do it myself because I'm always connected to the records. So I feel like I have a built-in force field, shield, you know, whatever you would call it, just because I'm always connected. And that's how it works for me. But a lot of people disconnect, you know, they go do their business in the records, they disconnect. And what I learned for myself is that I don't want to disconnect. I always want to be. So it's like the channeling can just happen at the speed of thought, and it can happen, you know, anytime throughout the day, because I'm always connected. So it happens when it needs to happen. But again, we all have our unique experiences. So do what feels best for you. And Debbie says, yay, Melinda, it's nice to meet somebody who understands unicorns and dragons. That's cool. There's a lot more people like that out there, Debbie. You just probably haven't met them. So start talking about it and you'll meet them. Or set your intention. I want to meet more people who are on the same wavelength as I am with unicorns and dragons, because they're out there. There's a lot of them. And your unicorn is called Rocky. You meditate with angels and masters. That's awesome. Yeah, Melinda says, that's awesome, Debbie. Your niece, who's 12, gave you a squishy unicorn named Sprinkles for your 50th birthday. Yeah, that was so beautiful. Debbie says, I've been doing 30-day heal the world meditations, sending air, earth, water, fire, dragons to the planet to clear the ley lines. Lots of people are doing this daily. Yeah, I know there's a lot of people. I have a friend, a Native American friend, who does stuff like that, adjusting grid lines and realigning things for the planet. So, you know, it's amazing. All these things are going on around us that we may not even be aware of, which again is a reason why we need to talk about this stuff, right? There's remarkable work being done on our behalf that we're not even conscious of. And if we knew about it, maybe we would want to join in and be a part of it. You know, like I think of like the water protectors, what a massive service that they are doing for us and the planet. Melinda says, Debbie, she loves that. She watched a video where a spirit said that for us to heal the world, we all need to send it love and gratitude. Yeah, we can't have enough love and gratitude. That will heal the world and that will facilitate Earthtopia. That's what we're all about. Debbie says, that's all we have to do. Breathe into your higher heart and meditate from your heart. Connect with the beings and they'll do whatever you ask with love. That's beautiful, Debbie. Laura says, speaking of star seeds, are eye color and body type consistent from originating from certain planets versus others? I'm getting a no on that, Laura, because when we're incarnating here, we're dealing with the human DNA. So even though our soul DNA would keep some of those characteristics, they're also interwoven with the third dimensional human DNA. So that's not impacting it. It's like a while back, I was wondering, you know, if we always have the same characteristics and astrology is true, then would that mean that we're always born into the same sign? I haven't got real clarity about that. It's something I'm still investigating. But then take that a step further. Would we always be born on the same day? And I got to know on that. So there's some flexibility in there and a way that it's all been worked out, but we do have the same characteristics based upon our gift and the other aspects of our soul. And then other influences like, the sign that you're born into and things like that, as well as then your third dimensional DNA all comes into play. There's a lot of stuff happening there, but no, it's not like you would come from let's say you were a Palladian and you would always have green eyes because you were a Palladian. It's not like that. In fact, I'm just hearing, why do you think Palladians have green eyes? They probably have different eye colors. A multitude. Oh, I'm getting purple. So purple, Palladians have purple eyes, all of them? Some of them. Okay, that's funny. Okay. So Debbie, you've got to go. Thank you. You're in Australia and you got to go for a walk with your son and get grounded. Oh, that's beautiful. Thanks for being here, Debbie. Have a great walk. Melinda says, thank you and bye. Harry's mom says bye and thanks. Captain Rabbit says thank you. Terry Renner, hey, great to see you. Do you have visions here? You're asking me if I have visions in here? That would be yes. And they've been getting stronger and more elaborate over the years as I've connected more with the records. But even when I was young, I would have stuff like that. I just didn't understand it, because we all have the ability to connect with divine. We all have the ability to channel. We all have this amazing intuition. It's just a matter of exercising it, building that muscle, toning it so that we can get it to be more fluid. So the more that I have worked at this, and the caveat is, that doesn't mean I spend all my days meditating. It's, I'm always connected. So I'm always getting things that are coming through, like driving down the road, I get all kinds of stuff that pop in. So it's they're feeding us what we need to know, or a message that needs to go to somebody else. Like sometimes I'll do a reading and there might be a little piece that I missed connecting the dots on. I'm driving down the road later and it's like it pops in. It's, oh, wow. How did I not see that? And so then I can call that person up and say, okay, here's a little more of the information that you needed to get. So it's really quite marvelous the way it happens. Let me know if that answers your question. Melinda, how do you stay connected to the records? Well, we do that prayer where we ask for connection. So, I've done that many, many times, and I got very fluid with going in and out of the records because early on I did disconnect. I did the closing prayer because I was taught that. But over time, I kept forgetting to close. And so one day I was thinking about this and Metatron pops in and he's like, why would you want to disconnect? And it's like, oh, thank you. I don't want to disconnect. That's why I keep forgetting. So I just never do a closing prayer. And when I get ready to do a reading or I need more focus, sometimes I'll still do the connecting prayer, but I'm just never disconnecting. It's always there. I'm just like refreshing it when I do the prayer again. So I find, depending on what it is I'm doing in the record, sometimes if it's, deep research, I'll want to do a different prayer that I might use on a regular basis. But you can also simply say, activate Akashic Records, and you're connected. So it's whatever feels right to you. And that's important because we all want to have the ability to do it in the way that works most powerfully and impactfully for us. So know that if people give you all these rules, evaluate them, see if they feel true for you. If they do, great. If they don't, discard them, make your own rules. That's what holds a lot of us back, that we have these rules that we've been taught about how it should be or what you're supposed to do. That keeps you in a little box, keeps you from expanding and getting more information. I'm all the time running into people who have way different methods of getting their information than I do. Just totally fascinating. I love to hear about that. So we all develop our own way. As we tune in more to our intuition, we'll probably find even more ways. So allow your intuition to guide you and do it in the way that flows for you, because flow is so important. You want that energy to be free flowing so that you can get the most out of the experience. And Terry says, we also incarnate on different planets. Yes, we've all, unless you were, originated on Earth, which are very few of the people, we've all had many lives on different planets. You know, we started out, most of us, somewhere else. We incarnated there for quite some time. And then at some point we left there and started going elsewhere. Now, right now, a lot of souls are coming to Earth because of this big transformation Earth is going to. This is an opportunity for us as a soul to expand like a rocket ship way faster than we could have done on other planets. So that's why so many otherworldly beings are interested in Earth, because it's fascinating for them to watch this process, if that makes sense. Terry, which senses do you use? So in the beginning, for me, it was mostly visual, but then over time it expanded, and I hear, but not auditory like you would think. It's not like I hear a voice outside myself speaking. It's like I hear it in my head, but it doesn't have volume, which is really hard to explain, but it's like I hear it, like the words are formed. Sometimes I can see the words in my head. Sometimes it'll be like, literally, it feels like you've got mail and they just push something through the mail slot and it just appears in my brain and I understand what it is. Other times it's just a sense of knowing. That's the claircognizance. You know, you just know, you don't know how you know, but it's just there. You might feel it in your solar plexus. It's just that, you know, gut feeling that they talk about. That's the claircognizance. Sometimes in visions, I can sense, I can taste, I can smell. Just depends on what they're showing me. But pretty much all of the senses are engaged when I connect. It wasn't always that way. Over time, it's expanded. So it's important to know that, because some people might get discouraged thinking, well, I don't see anything. I don't even know if I'm hearing anything. You know, they doubt it all and think that, wow, this isn't going to work for me. I'm being left out of the party. And no, it's really just a case of getting in there and doing it to build that muscle. And over time, it will expand, because we all have the ability to have these very deep connections, to have that sensory input that makes it, you know, a more impactful experience. Melinda, is amen considered closing? I don't say a prayer, and I do know things come to me all the time, all day, just never thought of going in or out. Does that make sense? Yeah, it makes perfect sense, because the way your channel works, Melinda, you are just getting it constantly. That, you know, that buzzing in your head where you're getting the input all the time. Your channel works differently from the way my channel works, from the way somebody else's channel works. So for you, that's the case. The thing is, when you deliberately want to connect with the records to get some information, to have a conversation with somebody, for instance, not just what's channeling to you all the time. Those are two different things. Does that make sense? Let me know. And yeah, amen could be a closing, or you could just say, I'd like to close the records now. It can be as simple or as complicated as you want it to be. Whatever feels best for you. It's always about that, what feels best. You know, they told me when I first started that if you don't close the records, you're going to walk around like a space cadet, you know, being discombobulated. And that was just never true for me. So where's my motivation to close them if it feels good to keep them open? Laura, thank you. I keep forgetting to close the records. You just do fast track and you enact the prayer. Yeah, and that's perfect as long as it feels good for you, Laura. So yeah, don't let anybody put pressure on you about what you should do. It's your personal connection with your records. So do it in the way that works best for you. And it might be something totally different than what we've even talked about. So yeah, it's always about taking care of you first. Captain Rabbit, do you know much about wanderers that are mentioned in the Law of One? I think I may be one. No, I don't know anything about that. Let me just see if I can get anything. So Captain Rabbit wants to know about wanderers. Anything you want to share about wanderers? I'm feeling that with wanderers, it's like a sense of not being moored to anything. So it's a little unsettling, because for most people, they feel a connection, like they're moored to a place or even an identity. Identity is coming up for some reason. So the wander is just more fluid is what it's feeling like, and maybe a sense of disconnectedness and not quite feeling connected to the place and to others, or even a sense of self. Let me know if that's how it feels for you, because that's what I'm feeling. And Captain Rabbit says, Earth equals heart, our planet. Mother Earth is the heart chakra for the whole universe. It's crucial to the universe's ability to grow. Okay. Yeah, for those of us who live on Mother Earth, that's definitely true. But to me, I see it slightly differently, because Earth is just one planet out of many. I mean, there's a multiverse out there. So Earth is not any more special than any one of us as a soul are. We are all individually unique, special, and equally loved by Creator. So the same would be true of the planets. They're all creations. So each one would be special, none more special than the other, if that makes sense. Terry says, so I activate my chakras every morning, then several times during the day for coaching. Do you leave your chakras open as well? I try to contain the energy at the end for my clients. I don't do anything consciously with my chakras, Terry. I haven't felt led to do that. I do feel when I'm channeling my heart chakra opening and shifting, but I'm not consciously doing that. I allow it as it wants to. I feel my solar plexus chakra shifting at times when I'm getting information, but no, I don't consciously do anything with them. So again, it's a different way of being, and it may have something to do with the way your soul is wired, that's what works best for you. So if that's what makes the world go round, we're all functioning at slightly different levels and understandings. You know, it's like the whole thing with crystals. You know, some people just are really, really into them. I like them. They're interesting to have around, but I don't feel that they're changing very much for me. They might add a little energy, but it's not anything above what I can do on my own, if that makes sense. Melinda says, I think so. More intentional asking. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think that's the crux of it. So if you feel like you're wanting more, or you're not getting the specifics that you need, then that's where you would sit down and have your connection, where you intentionally go to the records and have a conversation, get into that two-way dialogue and ask for information. Otherwise, you're just getting downloads all the time, and then you choose what you do about them. So your experience in that respect is different because of your gift. Terry says, thank you. You're so welcome. Glad it helped. Okay, you guys. So we have 17 people here. I can keep going for a little while longer if you have more questions, or if you need to go, we can go. So just let me know. I told David he had to give us 2 hours, so I cleared that space for us in case we needed it. Captain Rabbit says, spot on. You have a desire to remove your ego and create a true self. I know it's contradictory and can be very annoying at times. I think I'm descending. I don't know about descending, because the thing about the ego, we're all dealing with that, Captain Rabbit. Part of our journey is getting to the place where we are functioning from soul perspective rather than ego perspective. That's something I've talked a lot about in various videos. I wrote about it in my book. My guides gave me a special meditation so that I could sit down and have a powwow with my ego, higher self, and soul. Because, you know, ego wants to run the show. And for many lifetimes, that's the way it's been. But now that we've moved into this higher level of consciousness, we need to be checking in and doing what soul wants to do. That's how we're going to get to the fourth dimension, right? So I think we're all doing some of that. So you're really more part of it than you think you are. Maybe, you know, check out some of those videos and let me know if that makes sense to you. We can talk about that another time, because I'm trying to do these live streams once a month. I know I missed September, but I'm really intending to do them once a month. And of course, there's also my Zoom calls. So if you're not on my mailing list and you want to come to my live Zoom, where you can ask anything, including personal questions, then you want to go to akashaunleashed.com/VIP. I'll just type that for you and sign up for my VIP list. And then I will send you the Zoom link. We do that on the third Saturday of the month. And you might have seen them because I post the replay on YouTube. Melinda says, thank you. Every morning tomorrow, I need to go. Oh, early morning tomorrow. Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you came, Melinda. I know this is really late for you. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Captain Rabbit, can I ask if you think veganism is morally obligatory? No, it's not. In fact, I had a conversation with Metatron about that, and you'll find that in one of the videos too. I forget which one now, but I asked that question because a lot of people feel that as they are rising higher in consciousness, that they need to stop eating meat. And I was told very clearly, no, we don't judge you about that. The animals are given for you to consume them if you choose to. But if you feel led to do veganism, then that's what you should do. So it's about each of us being sovereign, doing what actually feels best to us and to our body, because we have to take our body into consideration. There are some of us based on our genetics who might not thrive as a vegan. I know for me personally, if I don't have red meat periodically, I start feeling weak. And it's probably something about, my ancestry and this particular DNA. So I honor that and I do that. And having been raised on a farm, animals get slaughtered. That's what they're bred for, so that they can feed the people. And when you think about it, here's something just to consider. Some people don't want to eat animals because, they have souls and they're living beings and they have faces and, all these things you hear. That's valid. They are living beings. However, they were created for us to consume them. But if you take that a step further, lettuce also has consciousness. It's energy. It's a living thing. So why is that different from a cow? Really? Why? Because we don't see it moving around. We don't see it licking its lips and, doing all the other things. Plants are living beings too. So if you took that to the extreme, you'd be living on air. And most of us are not yet ready to do that. So it's one of those things that there's no judgment about. It's do what your conscience tells you is right for you and your body. Terry, what to do when your crown chakra burns? Are you noticing a pattern? That's the first thing I would want to know. Does it happen connected to anything? I mean, it's like a series of events and it happens, or is it just a random thing? Because it would be different depending on what that is. T-Barb says it's been enlightening. Thank you. You're so welcome. Delighted to have you here. Captain Rabbit, but the animals want to live, and you reckon we're all in this together. They're our brothers. Yeah, they do want to live, but they also have the consciousness of understanding that they're food. Just like trees. You ever talk to a tree? We chop them down, we make them into furniture, all sorts of things. Trees know that we're going to use some of them, that they're not going to live. They understand and they accept it. I had a great conversation with trees about this, and I asked that question. And they, yeah, we understand it's part of the gig. Some of us will be sacrificed, but they also know that they're going to reincarnate and have another opportunity. They're not dead either, because we're all energy. We keep coming back. So the animals know they keep coming back. And again, if you extend that out, animals eat each other and they're not worried about it. They're consuming what they need to consume to support their life. And that's the circle of life as Creator designed it. There's a reason there's those hierarchies of creatures that consume each other to survive. So the ones who are designed or who came here having the intention of a short life are going to have a short life. Maybe they're going to be veal. The ones who wanted to live longer, maybe they'll be breeding stock. They have souls and they have choices too, just as we do. So when we incarnate, part of our plan includes how long we're going to stay. We have certain exit points where we get to choose whether we stay or go. But we have in mind what the life is going to be. And when our soul is ready to leave, it will find a way to leave, which is what's going on right now with this pandemic. There's a lot of souls who said, okay, I want to be here to see this thing kick off, but I do not want to be part of the actual transformation and going through the up-leveling to fourth dimension. No way, not ready for that. And so they plan to exit early. And so the pandemic is just a convenient way for a lot of them to do that. So no, and Metatron talked about this recently in the video, that a lot more are going to be going. That was the October forecast. He talked about that. So just prepare yourself and try to be at peace that these souls are exiting because they're ready. So if we can accept that, bless them and allow them to go, then we will be in a better place. We don't have to get pulled down with grief because they've gone. We can be happy for them because they're on their soul path. We can be happy that we're here doing what we came to do, serving our purpose, being in this space of love and expansion, because it's a marvelous time to be alive. So Captain Rabbit, why are animals not allowed sovereignty? Just by nature of, they need us to survive, at least the domesticated ones do. So when you're a domesticated animal, you are at the mercy of whoever owns you. That's just the way it is. It's part of the gig. So do they not have sovereignty? If they choose where to incarnate as we do, then they essentially have that much sovereignty. That means they could choose to incarnate into, let's say, again, with a cow, they could choose to incarnate into a veal farm, knowing that they're only going to live a very short time. Some souls come with the intention of a very short lifetime because there's something they wanted to accomplish, and that short span was all they needed. They'll come back and they'll have other lifetimes that'll be longer. It's a mixed bag, and we've all done that. I had one past life that came back to me. I got this in a flash. I'm looking eyeball to eyeball at another zygote. Two of us in the womb together are seeing each other. And then I understood that pregnancy never came to fruition. We died in utero. And that was part of the plan. We connected in that lifetime for that brief amount of time. Probably there was some reason that we wanted to be with that woman who was incubating us. I didn't get that part of the story because it wasn't important. The important part was they were connecting me with that other soul, and that was the zygote, because we connected in this lifetime. So they were, connecting dots for me about why she was in my life, that we had that past life connection. So yeah, some lives are short, some are long, some are in between. It runs the gamut, but we all do have sovereignty. It's a little different for animals, but there is still some there. Captain Rabbit, lettuce doesn't have a brain and central nervous system rather. Yeah, but it's energy, it's consciousness. It feels. Have you noticed if you pray over lettuce, it starts to wilt because it feels that it's going to be consumed soon? That's consciousness. So why is it okay to eat lettuce and not animals? They're still experiencing it. But then again, they also know that's part of their gig. We all have certain paths that Creator designed us for. Terry says, yes, when you're in deep meditation, that's the burning crown chakra. Okay. Yeah. Okay, great. So that makes more sense. So that is, you are receiving probably a mega dose of vital force energy in deep meditation, and you're feeling it. If it's uncomfortable, you can ask to have the flow slowed down just a little bit. You don't have to have discomfort. If it's just you're noticing it, no big deal. It's cool that you notice it because you're realizing something extraordinary is taking place. So it's almost like you're getting a refuel, if that makes sense, right? So you're fueling up so that you'll be full and you can go out and do whatever it is that you were purposefully planning to do. Let me know if that makes sense. Yeah, on a silent retreat, I would expect something like that because you're more connected, more purposeful. There's more space for all of that energy to come in. T-Barb says, just thank the animals for giving you sustenance. Yeah. Yeah. Like the Native Americans, that's a beautiful example. You know, they knew they needed to kill these beautiful animals that they called brothers, some of them, right? So they thanked them for their sacrifice. And that's what prayer is all about. In fact, I don't know if this is true, but scientifically, I was told that when you pray before you eat, it starts your digestive system preparing to consume the food, to more properly digest it. It also does something energetically with the food. So, you know, if you feel led to do that, then do that. But having gratitude for the food is a good thing. Having gratitude for everything is a good thing, because the more we're in the energy of gratitude, the more our world will expand in wonderful ways. So gratitude is a huge part of stimulating the law of attraction. They go hand in hand. I don't know if I can say this. Cosmic Doga Party. Wow. I would love to hear you say that. Anyway, so we'll just call you Cosmic. So Cosmic says, thank the plants too. Yeah, absolutely. It's being gratitude. Linda says, lately on Zoom calls with friends, there's energy moving on your walls, colors, and it moves around you. There's no source. Could these be guides? Let's ask that question. So for Linda, what are those things she's seeing? They're elementals, Linda. I don't know if you are very connected to the land, but you know, like fairies and leprechauns and dwarfs and elves and all of those elemental sprites, they're drawn to you for some reason, and they're making themselves known. So it's like orbs. That's what orbs are. They're the elementals very often. Not always, but very often that's what they are. So in a way, they're guides, but they're a different kind of guide, right? They're the ones that are here present on Earth assisting us. Let me know if that makes sense. Terry says, I have a sleep app on my watch. The past couple of months, there are hours missing from the night. Does this happen when we visit other dimensions or astral project? That's a great question. Probably, but let me just check to be sure. So for Terry, the missing time on her watch, was she astral traveling? Is that what that's about? Yeah, yeah. And astral traveling can happen for a lot of reasons, Terry. Sometimes we're doing it to connect with somebody on another plane that we have a past life connection to. There's still like a cord. And so we're drawn to connect with them during sleep. There's a number of past life things that can cause that to happen. But it could also be that you are traveling to another dimension to study. If you're getting all that extra stuff in your crown chakra, there might be a connection there, that you are in that sleep state, getting more information, excuse me, that's helping you on the journey, and it just hasn't come into your conscious awareness yet. So something is definitely happening there. But you can ask that question in meditation. Ask them to give you more information, because you're sovereign. You have a right to know what's going on. And you might be really surprised and delighted when you hear what it's about. Oh, Cosmic Toga Party. That's funny. Thank you, Barb. I was not seeing that at all. Linda says, thank you. I take photos of fairies and orbs with faces. It makes sense. Yeah. And they're very playful creatures. So yeah, just have a lot of fun with them. Cosmic Toga Party. I made the name years ago when you couldn't even put spaces in names. Ah, that makes sense. Yeah. And you're not smart enough for dashes or underscores. No, I think it's fun because it causes people to ask questions, right? So it's a good thing. It's all humor. Okay, you guys. Before we wind down, we got a few more minutes. Any more questions? Let me get a sip here. I'm getting a little dry. Oh, thank you, Terry. I appreciate that. You know, this is my mission, you guys, sharing this stuff with you. So you're helping me to spread the word. and to live my purpose, right? I've got to share this. I'm getting it all the time. It's got to get out there. That's the pressure I'm feeling. More, faster, faster, faster. So it's like, geez, Metatron, I'm dancing as fast as I can. So I'm going to get these books out, hopefully by the end of the month. And well, not hopefully, it's got to be, that's it. And then there are more books coming, because all these messages about Earthtopia, I'm going to have to put them into a book form for those people who are not on YouTube and not getting them, because we need to get that out there. And I have to tell you, by the way, when I tell you guys about Earthtopia, I have this feeling in the back of my head, that's my ego probably scoffing about, what is this effing Earthtopia you keep talking about? So if you're getting sick of hearing about it, just know I kind of feel the same way. I mean, on the one hand, it's exciting. I really believe we're going there. But the other side of me, that ego side, is like, yeah, enough of this stuff. So you'll just have to bear with me, because I have to faithfully deliver what I get. And Metatron is really on a tear about it right now, as Gaia is too. T-Barb says, Cosmic Toga Party, I put underscore in mine and it doesn't show. That's interesting. Yeah, different platforms have different rules, I guess that would be. And T-Barb, are random headaches downloads? Well, they can be, but let's ask if they are for you, because it may not be. So for T-Barb, the headaches are those downloads. I get a no on that, T-Barb. No, so something else is going on. Oh, and they're also saying downloads don't have to be painful. So if you had that in your head, if you were thinking that downloads have to be painful, that's a limiting belief. Let that go. Because think about it. Why would divine send you information that hurts you? It should energize you, lift you up. You know, after I do channeling, I'm just buzzing with energy. It's amazing. You would think you would be tired. Even when I did that 7-hour marathon on YouTube for the charity, my body was really achy from sitting there for 7 hours channeling. But energetically, I just felt so up and ready to go for more. It was crazy. So getting that divine energy flowing through you uplifts you, calms you, enlivens you, revitalizes. So if you're getting something that's causing pain, there would be another source. I would look for that. But definitely ask in meditation if they can give you clarity on that. Or if you aren't already on my list, sign up for my mailing list. Come on the third Saturday where we do personal questions, and we can delve into that. And of course, if you want to sign up for readings, I do that too. So you could always, guys, book a short 15-minute reading and come to get personal questions answered. So Laura says, awesome, thank you. You're so welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Jack Bean, what should I focus on for my first time? You mean your first time meditating? I would, if that's what you mean, I would just go in with an open heart. Just say, I'm here. What do you want to share with me? You can go with specific questions, but it's so delightful just to have that openness and allow them to share whatever you need to hear, because they will do that. And it often, if you're open to it, it will be something so amazing, unexpected. But the other thing is, if you're just a beginner, be kind to yourself, because you might only get just the teeniest little bit. You've got to practice and develop the ability. When I first started, I saw a purple blob and that was it. It took quite a while before it got to the place where I'm seeing full-blown movies in my head. So be kind, practice, keep going back, don't get discouraged. It's so important. You owe that to yourself. Love yourself enough to keep going, keep asking for help. And, you can join if Facebook ever comes back, you can join the Facebook support group for the 21-day meditation, where we're all supporting each other. And that's so helpful, because when you hear other people talking about, well, I'm not getting anything, or somebody else is getting more than they got in the beginning, you can see the evolution of the participants. You can also see the ones who are struggling, and it just lifts you up to know you're not alone. Plus you get inspired ideas from hearing about other people's experience. And over top of all of that, it's just the energy. Excuse me. It's almost like we are all under this big dome of energy, linking us together because we're on this project together. Sorry, my throat's getting a little irritated, you guys. Hang on. Okay. Cosmic Toga Party. Will people become noticeably kinder as time goes by? Will we be able to notice the difference? Yes, and yes. It's going to take a while. That's part of what we're going through, of helping more souls to get onto their aligned path. Because when you're in alignment with your soul, you're coming from a place of love, divine love pouring through you. You've got to get kinder. That's just a part of the evolution. You know, from my own experience, I was one of those people that very introverted. I'm happy to be a hermit and be by myself and, you know, don't need to go out with people, right? Animals are great. But doing this work, I'm drawn more and more to be with people because my heart chakra is expanding and there's all this love pouring out for people that I probably wouldn't have felt that way about another time, but it's the transformation that happens within you as you connect. You continue connecting at that deeper and deeper level. You're just drawn into the love and light space where it just flows out of you and spills onto other people, which feels marvelous. So why wouldn't you want to do more? So yeah, way better. But we still have an icky time to go through before we get there totally. So we're on a rocky boat, you guys, but we are moving forward. That's the important thing. Terry, you've been connecting to plants, trees, and animals on your walks. You go to trees, you feel like you're falling into the earth and you step back because you're in public. How far does this go down? I think it goes right to the core of Gaia. It depends on your intention. So what are you intending when you do that? And by the way, don't worry about what anybody else thinks, because you know what? If you're up there touching or embracing a tree and you've got this look on your face of bliss, because I can imagine you do, because it feels so good energetically, people will respond positively with that. They might even ask what you're doing, and then you can have an opportunity to share with them about how marvelous it is, and maybe they want to go hug a tree. You know, especially in a time where hugs are a little more sparse, thanks to you know what? Why not hug more trees? I think it sounds beautiful. Okay, T-Barb, you've been saying thank you when you get the headaches. Now you'll just take an aspirin. Yeah, I don't know if you need an aspirin, but you know, you figure out what it's about. But yeah, just know they're not going to harm you in order to connect. That's just not the way they work. It's always about leaving you better than you were before, lifting you up. T-Barb says, Terry Renner, I do that with my backyard tree regularly. It's a cool feeling. I feel it's cleansing. If I feel down, it takes that feeling away. Yeah, that's beautiful because the trees are there to share with you. If you go to my website and search for Elliot, I think it's Elliot. Might have two T's, I don't remember, or might have one L. Or if you can't find it, let me know, I'll find it for you. There's a blog post I put up there that was my conversation with trees. The trees explained to me that they chose to be sentinels for mankind. They had the ability to walk across the earth. They weren't rooted. But at some point in our evolution, trees made this choice to serve in that fashion, and they rooted into the ground. Think about that. And Elliot explained all this stuff to me about energy and frequencies, and it was really mind-boggling. And this was a number of years ago before I even had a grasp on much of this stuff. So pretty deep, but I think you'll find that really fascinating if you are having conversations with trees. So highly recommend that story. Elliot was really cool. It was Elliot and the homeboys that came to have a chat with me. It's so funny. Jack, how do I know if I'm blocked from accessing my records or my chakras are wrong? Well, okay, if I understand it correctly, you're not blocked from accessing your records. That would be something you believe. That's a limiting belief. You're not, they're yours. You have the right to access them. Now, do you have the ability? That's the difference, right? We all can do it. It's, do we all have the ability to do it? So that takes practice. But again, you start with baby steps. Meditation is the easiest, fastest way to do it. So that's why we're doing this 21-day meditation challenge, because Metatron laid this whole thing out for people who want to connect and who were having trouble connecting. Through that process, it evolved so people were actually channeling who had never done it before, at least consciously. It's the brilliance of Metatron, because I've been trying for years to figure out how to teach people to channel. It's not something that's really easy to teach. We all do it differently. It happens in a lot of ways that are not able to put words to even. So how do you teach it? By the time I got done with my 21-day challenge, which is where it started, I saw, brilliant. This is how you teach them to channel. And so easy. So it's there for you. The book will be coming out, like I said, probably the end of the month. But if you join the 21-day meditation group, you get a pre-release copy of the book right now. So you can start, you can do it and join the Facebook group if it comes back, and do the challenge there. And then every day of the 21 days, Metatron shared more messages. So now there's going to be a second book because it's got to have all those messages. So it's like, it's expanding before I can even get one book done, but I'm working on it really hard this month to get it wrapped up. So let's see. If you want to join the 21-day challenge, I'll go back and I'll put that in the description of this video, or you can go look for the video on my channel that talks about the 21-day challenge. There's a link there. If you want to join my Zoom call on the third Saturday, I'll give you the link right here. That's the VIP list that will get you on the Zoom call. Cosmic Togo Party, I kind of thought all humans are considered to be a child of God. That's just my interpretation, that expression. Yeah, it's true. We are. We're all creations of God. Source, universe, whatever you want to call it. Where it all started. And we're all loved. I've had meditations where I've been with Creator. It doesn't happen a lot because I don't feel I need to do that, because all of the angels and the guides are a part of Creator, as are we. So it doesn't matter which one brings you the information. It's all coming from Creator. But in the few meditations where Creator themselves showed up, it was just so much love, so powerful, the most potent, poignant. It defies description how amazing it is. And I do have a meditation for that too that I believe I posted recently. I can't remember the name of it, but if you look in my meditation playlist, you should find there's one that talks about being with Creator. There's another one where Jesus comes to wash your feet. That's so amazing. And when you think about the implications of the love that Jesus comes to wash your feet, that's amazing. Now, in that meditation, of course, if you don't believe in Jesus, you don't want Jesus washing your feet. So when that person, that being comes, it can be whomever is important to you. But the spiritual significance of that is just massive. It's all about letting you know how important, how loved by Creator you are. Because we all need to get that so that we can love ourselves, and then that love expands to others. When we do that, all of the corruption, the evil, the hatred, the bigotry will fall away. And that's where we're going with Earthtopia. Yeah, it is really powerful. It's such an honor to share this information. And you all have the ability to tap into this power, experience it yourselves, and share it with others. So that's what I encourage you to do. Share it and keep sharing it, because that's how we're going to make a difference faster. Okay, you guys, well, it's after 9, so I think I am going to end it now before my voice goes away entirely. Thank you all for being here. I so appreciate it, each and every one of you. If you need links and they're not there, you can't get them, just shoot me an email or leave a comment and I'll get them for you. Happy to do that. Okay. Bye, everybody.